The film to be explained today is named Invisible Girl. Before all else seen of the film, we notice meteoroids that are coming quickly towards the world. It tends to be imploded whenever with the Earth. Then the scene shifts in which we are acquainted with a kid named Drill who was remaining in the ocean on a boat. He needs to convey the baggage on a boat. In any case, his boat could not convey the weighty heap of 1 ton, rather it can take 600 kilograms weight. Yet, he takes the gear by guaranteeing misleading to the proprietor of the little boat about the heaviness of the baggage as just 600 kilograms. Subsequently, he follows through on a weighty cost that all of his baggage sank into the water alongside the boat. Definitely, Drill and the proprietor figure out how to be at the ocean side. For the misfortune, Drill needs to give cash to the boat proprietor. Everything was at that point bankrupt and sits around aimlessly yet to trade his vehicle with the proprietor of the boat. Subsequently, he visits the bank where he meets Sutlana, his cherished companion. She works here as a clerk and Bora required a bank credit. Sultana becomes astounded at enormous how much advance, which was $1 million. She added further that no bank could give him such a weighty sum without dependable security. All transforms into sadness. Sultana requests that he meet his dad at home so he could help him. She needs to assist him for the explanation they with having both been companions since youth. She later sits in his old rough vehicle towards her home. We are acquainted with the enormous group of Sultana. Everybody in this more distant family has aggressive dreams. As her dad, he wished everybody to live respectively. Her senior sister needs to be a craftsman. Her sibling needs to enlist in the military, yet he is a patient with asthma and consistently dismisses so. Her more youthful sister among them all needs to be youthful to do everything, as the offspring of her age do as such. Later on, Drill talks about his issue with her dad and allures for his assistance. Further, he offers him a commission for the very reason. In any case, her dad rejects and put-downs him as well and leaves after this. We further see that meteoroid drawing nearer towards Earth quickly. It falls at Sultana's house and embraces a gigantic opening on the floor. Every one of them begin to rush outside. Later they see those meteoroids are falling wherever in the city. Unexpectedly, they get to realize that they have left their dad inside and all rush towards him to save him. Later they get him out. Drill later recommends putting out the meteoroid so they can sell it into the market. They all concur upon his idea. They begin to recover the meteoroid, yet they couldn't figure it out. They got depleted and fall asleep. Be that as it may, Drill doesn't lose trust as he was obliged. Later he discovers the meteoroid and brings it. Right then and there, the granddad calls him and bites the dust later. He becomes disheartened and ignorant about how to tell his loved ones. He goes to Sutlana, however she was drained and couldn't get up. The more youthful sibling of Sultana shows up and illuminates that the meteoroid transforms into fluid. He added that father erroneously falls that fluid on the floor, which spreads over all over the place. Here is an astounding truth to be seen after the sprinkle of a meteoroid that everybody gives with a superpower. As the Sutlana's sister transforms into Superman, she can break everything. Her senior sister could fly in the air, while Sutla obtains the capacity to vanish. Every one of them become cheerful. Later they mindful of the capacity of this superpower, which would work just when they live respectively. In the event that they would separate it wouldn't work. To utilize this power they need to inhabit a distance of 20 meters. Drill takes the sisters of Sutlana towards the specialist for an exam in the event that they go through any difficulty. Yet, the specialist announces that essentially nothing remains to be stressed over, they are fine. On returning at home, undeniably were feasting together. Later Drill comes and proposes to them to utilize their power to bring in some cash for benefits so they can be rich. As regular, father disregards him. Later more youthful sibling enters to state about his power. He tells he could address the creatures, he could without much of a stretch comprehend what the canine is talking about. In the interim, we watch Drill who attempts to twist the pole, yet he couldn't. Everybody aside from Drill has power. He feels terrible as he tracks down that meteoroid. Promptly toward the beginning of the day, we see Sutlana's father at his latrine, who inhales long and escapes the house. It implies he is likewise having a superpower to travel anyplace. Later on, Sutlana's takes everybody to the lake, where everybody rehearses his proprietor's power. Everybody appears to be very blissful. Bora recommends burglarizing the bank. He at any expense needs to reimburse the cash of that ware. Thus, he proposed such thoughts, however Sultana dismisses the thought. Drill becomes miserable and passes on to sit in the vehicle. Later Sultana additionally goes with him. The two leaves from that point. Out of nowhere a vehicle stops close by. A boat toward the beginning of the film showed up. What's more, with the proprietor, Drill had vowed to take the gear safely. Which he sank. He is a similar man whom he vowed to return $1 million. He approaches and requests his cash with the danger of selling his organs in China. Drill becomes panicked and allures for another week and mention per week. Sutlana close by hears all that and prepares to burglarize the bank. In the following scene, All and Sutlana leave for a cottage with his dad to eagerness him. He doesn't concur. She further announces requested nothing. This is her first and last desire. After her profound extorting, her dad concurs. He returns home and accumulates them all to examine the methodology to burglarize the bank. Drill states they need to sit just in the vehicle, rest will be finished by Sutlana. She would enter the bank by being imperceptible and subsequent to plundering, she would return. It was a simple arrangement. Drill was separated from everyone else in the nursery to rehearse without holding. Here Sultana accompanies holding a cup being undetectable. The following day every one of them wish to introduce their powers to general society. Drill dismisses yet concurs later as he really wants them. They go into a theater and show their influence to the chief to bring in cash. In the following scene, we watch that Bora becomes mindful of his superpower. He can bring out water from his fingers. All of the family go to a memorial service specialist. As indicated by the wish of their granddad that his memorial service ought to be great. From that point onward, Drill and Sutlana's sister go for a meal. Some individuals around there come to prod Bora. Sutlana's sister ends up being irate and gives them an illustration. At long last, the opportunity arrives to loot the bank. Every one of them were holding up outside. Sutlana needs to do everything in light of her force of being imperceptible. However, her dress was as yet imperceptible, which she eliminates as well. Subsequent to being undetectable, she enters the bank and recognizes the codes and passwords formally. Later on, police pull their vehicle, and on the grounds that in this way, their reach becomes far. She becomes noticeable. As per the condition, they all need to live respectively. Subsequent to watching this inconvenience, Drill emerges to unite everybody. Sutlana becomes imperceptible. Inevitably, they return and sit without cash as police enters and individually stop them. Sultana's father disappears and the police come to them. Also, said nothing. Also, liberates them. Indeed, Sutlana's father calls him and states that he doesn't know where he is. Police enter and open the van. They notice him in a van. On getting back, All ends up being enraged and proclaims them ludicrous and they can't loot the bank. Sutlana's sister, on hearing that, illuminates about her performance center show. On hearing All, said that they will connect with them all in theater and they will steal from the bank. Many individuals come to watch her sister. She gets anxious and flies up. Sultana and All goes to her to inspire. During this, Ware sees him and caught him. His kin beat him gravely and get out in a harmed condition out of the theater. He affronts their family by expressing they cannot do anything, the power they got, it doesn't matter. They disapproved and shut him in a vehicle and choose to loot the bank at any expense. They reach and Sutlan's senior sister flies and enchains the entryway of the bank. Later the more youthful one hauls out of the structure. What's more, along they welcome a truck on street for the trouble of police. Subsequent to doing this all, the more youthful one takes out every one of the drawers and tosses them since she has the force of Superman. They put the storage space as the on vehicle. Later police show up, yet the sibling shrewdly sends every one of the canines towards the police. They all departure. Inevitably it turns morning, every one of them appreciate outside the city. In the interim, Granddad proclaims that it is the ideal opportunity for his demise and requests that they leave. They all leave and inevitably Granddad passes on. They all circulate cash. Sooner or later Sultana states, it isn't great to let Granddad be. Bora rejects and Sultana minds and requests that Drill take his cash and leave. Bora goes out irately and gives $1 million to Ware. With the excess cash, he was going to another country. He can't take this cash to flight. He attaches that cash with his body to save himself from custom. He was holding up outside and on T.V. he watches Sutlana's family being captured by police. Presently the inquiry coming into the brain that how police captured them. At the point when they return to that burial service specialist, he rejects to return his dead body. They offer him for $1 million, so he concurs. As he thinks and illuminates to police. After examination police captured them. Next Bora shows up with a live Granddad, and that implies he never kicks the bucket and is as yet alive and covered alive. On return for Granddad, everybody actuates and begins utilizing their superpower with huge obliteration. The senior sister goes towards Judge with a comic scene. The family acts unusually. It looks interesting and doesn't appear court. However, they attempted to get out, police shown up and her sister begins to fly. Every one of them redirected and they took off. They come to a port and here we see the where who was in the beginning of the film. He helps drill and sends them in a holder to China. The ethical example is on the off chance that we live respectively with family we stay fortified. Also, could battle all inconveniences. This is the truth of life as well. This is valid and this film closes here.